Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the President and CEO of ERA, Julie Kunz.
Thank you. It is my sincere pleasure to welcome all of you to the 2012 ERA D2C Convention. We are thrilled to be back here at the Wynn Las Vegas, and we have an exciting conference planned for you over the next 3 days. From a full slate of education and special show floor exhibits to networking receptions, we want to make your stay in Las Vegas time well spent. The ERA staff has been very active this year, working to make the D2C convention and all of our conferences and networking receptions must-attend events. In fact, just consider these recent numbers. This past February, the Great Ideas Summit garnered a record number of 875 attendees, while in June, the Electronic Home Shopping Conference in Berlin broke its own record with 382 attendees. What's more, our successful networking receptions in Los Angeles and Toronto gave members additional opportunities to make those valuable business connections. But our efforts do not stop at industry events. Thanks to ERA's elected leadership, your board of directors, ERA is experiencing its greatest overall fiscal health since 2007. Our board of directors has worked diligently to maintain value for our members by ensuring that ERA remains the premier advocate and spokesperson for the direct response industry in Washington, D.C., maintains a self-regulatory program that continues to be lauded by the Federal Trade Commission, and offers platforms for high-quality professional development. As I mentioned a moment ago, advocacy has always been at the top of the agenda at ERA. In fact, our government affairs team has been instrumental in safeguarding our industry from harmful, streamlined sales tax legislation that would place a significant burden on ERA's membership. State tax collectors and their big box retailer allies have poured $10 million into a campaign trying to force you to collect sales tax on purchases in states where you do not have a physical presence. However, ERA and many of our members' ongoing and steadfast lobbying efforts successfully derailed the big box retailers' intense summer legislative campaign. Although this battle is far from over, rest assured, ERA is committed to this cause now and well into the future. Of course, streamlined sales tax is just one example of which ERA is working on your behalf in Washington. One of the most significant gains ERA has achieved is in membership, which stands at a 20-year historic high point. In addition, ERA events continue to set records in all categories, including number of attendees, number of exhibitors, and numbers of sponsors. As a champion of self-regulation, ERA and the Electronic Retailing Self-Regulatory Program has become a model for other trade organizations and industries looking to establish similar programs. These successes are the direct result of the hard work, dedication, and support of staff members and ERA leadership to provide value-added benefits to the membership and to help enhance the industry's profile on an international scale. As we begin a new board term, I would like to thank outgoing ERA Chairman Stephen Feinberg, CEO of SF Global Sourcing, for an outstanding year under his leadership. I would also like to thank our outgoing board members for their significant contributions during their tenure. Recently, we announced 6 new members to the ERA Board of Directors. They include Brian Archibald, President of Provida Life Sciences, Patty Booth, President of Thane Direct Canada, Poonam Kumbani, Vice President of Telebrands International, Greg Sater, Partner at Venable, Katie Williams, co-founder and president of Ideal Living, and Dan Williams, managing director of the Dumont Project. Congratulations to our newly elected board members. Leading this distinguished group is incoming chairman Harry Hill, president and CEO of Oaklawn Marketing. Harry is a renowned industry thought leader with a wealth of sales and marketing expertise in the global marketplace. He has been front and center in the transformation of ERA. And working together with Harry and the board, I'm certain that ERA can make a significant difference in helping both the members and the industry at large thrive. Please join me in welcoming Harry Hill, ERA Chairman for 2012-2013.
Thank you, Julie, for that kind introduction. Steve, first I would like to really give a vote of thanks to outgoing Chair Steve Feinberg. Steve has spearheaded many great strides forward in the organization. I also know that Steve runs his company, SF Global Sourcing, with equal passion and commitment. He is certainly someone all of you should know. Okay, no more of the shameless plug. But I think that one of the things that really is valuable in this organization is when we talk about networking and we talk about recognizing each other and recognizing excellence. And part of that excellence is when we, all of us, give and participate in the organization. And if we can really focus on recognizing that excellence and pushing each other to more excellence, it will make our industry much better. As I step into this new role, I look forward to working with our current board of directors and the ERA staff throughout the year. I'm eager to continue the important work that we began when I first became board member in 2010. And I'm even more excited to lead this board as we forge ahead in accomplishing ERA's long-term objectives, and most importantly, to create an environment of success for our members. Before I became chairman, I volunteered to serve on several councils and committees. And during that time, I witnessed the great work achieved through the collective efforts of my fellow ERA members. After all, we all have the same goal: to help our association prosper so that in turn, it can help make our industry succeed. When this association started 21 years ago, it began as a small gathering of entrepreneurs who wanted to ensure growth and longevity for a then little-known industry called direct response television. Fast forward to today, and what you have is a thriving global organization that boasts nearly 450 members across 45 countries. And indeed, I am proud to be the first chairman who is a non-US resident. And I think that that also is a testament to the global nature of our association. Our organization also represents our 4 core attributes: access, wisdom, advocacy, and self-regulation. ERA continues to evolve into a true global alliance whose members comprise leading international players that market some of the most successful DR products in the industry. From Europe to Latin America to Asia to North America, ERA makes certain its members are well represented and that business opportunities abound. ERA achieves worldwide representation through its councils and committees, including the Asia Committee and the Canadian Council. And we also have ERA Europe, along with its chapter association, ERA UK. Together, these groups help ERA promote global commerce and shared thought leadership across borders. Of course, in order for all of us to expand our businesses into neighboring markets, we need a place where we can all converge and network. ERA makes that all possible by organizing and hosting conferences and multiple networking events each year, where we can form those important business alliances within our global DR community. As Julie Kunz mentioned earlier, the Great Ideas Summit, Government Affairs Fly-In, and the Electronic Home Shopping Conference in Berlin all achieved record attendance this year. And as we sit here today at the 2012 D2C Convention, nearly 4,000 industry professionals are expected to attend this 3-day conference, to network and to visit more than 130 exhibiting companies on the show floor. In the true essence of our industry of before and after, the ERA was formed 21 years ago by 9 founding members. Most of their companies had little to no international exposure. Today, we have over 58 companies who are doing $100 million a year in annual revenue or more. Of course, we are still living in uncertain economic times. But what these numbers tell us is that the direct response marketing industry is poised to achieve new levels of success through our ability to innovate products and services and through our strong desire to expand our business horizons by treading new territory and embracing new markets. I believe we truly are leading thought leaders, not just of the industry, but of our economy. I'm very optimistic about the state of the industry because I'm optimistic about us. ERA is committed to helping members foster that growth. As your new chairman, I want you to know that ERA and its board are committed to listening to the issues that are most important to members, acting with transparency, sharing best practices that promote trust within our industry, and to advocating on your behalf, both on Capitol Hill and, when possible, around the world for a level playing field. ERA is also focusing this year on hospitality to ensure that we recognize the members and volunteers that give to the association. But to make ERA strong, we need your participation. I strongly urge you to volunteer your time and join an ERA committee or council. Personally, I have been attending ERA since 2002. I have served on the Asia Committee and the Strategic Planning Committee, and my relationships with ERA members have truly allowed OLM to prosper. My experience is you will gain more than what you put in. And now, I am particularly thrilled to have Jamie Naughton, a senior executive from Zappos.com, here today. At my company, Oaklawn Marketing, we place a strong emphasis on building our corporate culture. Earlier this year, all of our executives read the book, Delivering Happiness, A Path to Profits, Passion, and Purpose by founder Tony Hsieh. Zappos.com symbolizes a next generation of direct marketing excellence that we can all learn from. They have a dynamic corporate culture that values infectious behavior to provide superior customer service. Jamie Naughton joined Zappos.com in 2004, right after it located from the San Francisco Bay Area to Las Vegas. As Speaker of the House, Jamie works directly with CEO Tony Hsieh, focusing on the culture for which the company has become known. Her role is essential in creating and driving the architecture of this dynamic culture, as well as focusing on the culture R&D to ensure that Zappos.com always stays relevant both to its employees and its customers. I'm sure all of us will gain invaluable insight from today's keynote presentation. We are thrilled to have on our stage the Speaker of the House from Zappos.com, Ms. Jamie Naughton.
Hi guys, thank you so much for coming. Welcome to Las Vegas. This is my hometown, or now my hometown. I was actually born and raised in the LA area. But today I'm going to talk to you about a few different things. One of them is Delivering Happiness, the book that my boss Tony wrote, and then how we integrate our brand and our culture to create what Zappos has become known for. To start, to tell you a little bit about me, Delivering Happiness is a separate company for Zappos, so I am employed by them, and I basically get to travel around the world and present at different conferences and spread our mission that happy employees make good business and make successful businesses. But my full-time regular job is with Zappos. I'm Speaker of the House, which doesn't mean a whole lot, but I'm mainly responsible for 3 areas. I oversee the culture as it relates to both of our locations and what we're doing to drive the culture forward. Research and development also as it relates to culture. It basically means I get to meet with lots of different companies all over the country, all over the world, and hopefully steal some information from them that we can change up a little bit and fit into the Zappos culture, and hopefully they're stealing stuff from us too. And then most recently, Zappos made an announcement that we were relocating from a suburb of Las Vegas called Henderson, and that we were going to move right into the heart of downtown Las Vegas. Anyone read about this? No? A few people? And we didn't think it was a very big deal. We thought, okay, we're moving 15 miles down the road, but all of a sudden New York Times started calling, Wall Street Journal started calling, and they wanted to know why any company would move into the devastated part of downtown Las Vegas, which everyone thought had died many years ago. With that came the need to really focus on the community and what we were doing in the Las Vegas area, and then handle the influx of media inquiries that have come about from that. So what is delivering happiness? Well, it started with a book, and this book has been produced in over 17 different languages. Well over 300,000 different copies have been sold, and it's on a number of different best of lists, as you can see. After the book was launched, it's normal for an author to go on a book tour where he goes to libraries and bookstores and he signs books and says a few things about his book. But Tony's not a normal person in general, and he thought that a book tour sounded boring, but he thought a bus tour sounded really exciting. So he bought a bus, and this is the bus. You can see the before. This bus was actually previously owned by the bass player of the Dave Matthews Band. And so obviously Dave Matthews Band does really well, but we wanted to turn it from the rock star bus into a happiness bus, so you can see before and after of the interior. We came up with the tagline, inspire and be inspired, and threw that on our bus when we wrapped it. And of course, this is our Delivering Happiness logo. Then we set across the country to do a pretty crazy tour. Tony describes it as like planning 90 weddings in a 3-month period, so it was a lot of work. And in each town that we went to, Tony would do a speech and talk to people about what he's learned throughout his career, about creating Zappos and selling Zappos. So these are some shots of that. When we went to New York, we wanted to do something a little bit different, and we thought that we should rent a whole lot of buggies and storm the center of Times Square. And so that's what we did. I don't know if you can see, but this is the open-top bus tours. There's a gentleman at the top who is very happy. We were throwing T-shirts up, and he caught one, and he screamed, "God bless America." So we're pretty sure that he believes in the American dream of free T-shirts. And the next day we came back and we noticed that a little bit of our happiness has stuck around. Some of the street vendors had put our little sign up on their vending station, so that was neat. At this particular stop, we stopped at a music festival, and we met this woman, and she told us a story that she had come to this music festival. Her sister had recently committed suicide, and she was obviously very distraught about this, and she was looking for a sign from her sister that everything was going to be okay. And so she decided to go to this music festival, and we had plastered this festival with happy faces. And she said she walked in and she saw all of the happy faces, and she felt that was a direct sign from her sister. We made several stops along the way to do some goodwill, and this is a child that we met at a children's hospital. These children are facing life-threatening illnesses, and we wanted to deliver them a little happiness. This particular shot, Tony is showing her pictures of his bus on his iPad, and this was a few years ago, so the iPad was still very much a novelty, and he was scanning through, and every time a new picture would come on the screen, her eyes would get bigger, and she got more excited, and he's like, "This girl's really into my bus." And at the end, she said, "Where did you get that iPad?" So she didn't care about the bus, but we partnered with Charity Water. If you're not familiar with this organization gives 100% of every dollar that's donated goes directly to their cause, to building wells in parts of Africa. And then, of course, most of you are familiar with Livestrong. We did a world's largest hula hoop contest with them. And then on the way back, we stopped in Arizona, and we made a stop at this elementary school. We were told that this elementary school, most of the children have never been outside of their town, and a huge percentage, like 80% of these children actually live in poverty. So we were going to stop by this school and throw them a little surprise, and when we got there, they surprised us with a mariachi band and some Mexican food, so it's a good stop. After the bus tour, we moved on into what we call the happiness movement. Seth Godin was quoted as saying that delivering happiness is a movement that just happens to have a book. And as the more and more people read the book, we were getting flooded with emails and letters from all over the world. And basically what they were saying is it didn't matter what your background was, what your culture was, what job you had, that everybody was unified by the same vision. That ultimately in our day-to-day lives, everything we are doing, we're doing because we think it'll make us happy or it'll increase our happiness in some way. So that's where Delivering Happiness was born, and now Delivering Happiness, the company runs off of the ICEE concept, which is to inspire, connect, educate, and provide experiences. But long before there was a book, there was this man, Tony Hsieh. He created his first company in '94. It was a pizza business that was on the grounds of his college. In '96, he created a company called Link Exchange, and that company eventually sold a few years later to Microsoft for about $265 million. And what most people don't know is that he didn't sell the company because he wanted money. He sold the company because one day he woke up and he realized he didn't want to go to work. And it wasn't because he didn't want to work, it was that he didn't really like the people that he was working around. He didn't really enjoy what he was doing anymore. And so what he discovered was that they had grown the company to about 100 employees, and they had paid too much attention to resumes and not enough attention to personality. So what they ended up with was 100 very talented people that nobody wanted to be around. So he decided that he would start over, and so he sold the company, took that money that he got, and he thought, I'm clearly more geared towards investing. That's what I want to do. And so he created Venture Frogs, and they were an investment fund. They invested in a number of different startups. Zappos.com just happened to be one of them. Shortly after making the investment in Zappos, he found some excitement and synergies with the people, and he remembered his times early on at Link Exchange, and he wanted to be a part of that again. So he came on full-time as our CEO, and he's been with us ever since. Real quick, how many of you have heard of Zappos before coming here? How many of you shopped at Zappos? Thank you, all of you. So what is Zappos? Zappos, we consider ourselves a service company that just happens to sell shoes, clothing, handbags. We sell makeup, you name it, we have it. But ultimately, we consider ourselves a service company. We were one of the 100 best companies to work for. In 2009, we were the highest ranked newcomer to the list at number 23. 2011, we broke top 10, we're number 6. 2012, I think we fell a little bit, but we're still in the top 15. And the new list will be announced, I believe, in February. So we're excited to see where we rank then. But our headquarters is, again, located in Henderson, Nevada, which is about 15 minutes from here. And our fulfillment is all done out of Shepherdsville, Kentucky. We recently rolled over our fulfillment to Amazon, which is our parent company. And so we have roughly about 1,500 employees in the Las Vegas area. This is what our warehouse looks like. It's 3 floors, 3 stories, floor to ceiling of shoes. I call this my dream closet. Some people would say that I'm progressing really well towards my goal. But we carry over 1,000 different brands. We have 200,000 different styles. 6 million items are actually inventoried and warehoused in our fulfillment center. 100% of everything we sell is inventoried, so we don't do any drop shipment. And our customer experience, what do our customers see first when they come to our website? Well, the first thing they're going to notice is that our 800 number is on every single page of our website. If any of you are avid online shoppers, you know that when you want to talk to someone, sometimes you have to dig and dig and dig to try to find an 800 number. Well, we thought that that was crazy, that if our customers wanted to talk to us, why wouldn't we want to talk to them? So we decided, let's put our 800 number on every single page to help encourage people to contact us. When we set out to sell shoes online, everybody said it couldn't be done, that nobody would ever want to buy shoes online. People want to try them on. They want to feel if they fit and see them in person. So we decided that we were going to offer free shipping and free return shipping to kind of get around that, any barrier to people purchasing. And then on top of that, we have a 365-day return policy. We also run our call center 24 hours a day, so if someone wants to talk about shoes at 3 o'clock in the morning, we're available for them. And what do our customers experience? Well, when they order, they're going to experience fast, accurate fulfillment because we also run our warehouse 24 hours a day, which is not the most efficient way to run a warehouse, but it is the best way to run a warehouse if you're trying to get your packages out as quickly as possible. We do surprise upgrades. So we tell our customers, you're going to get your package for free within 3 to 5 business days. And then on the back end, a huge percentage of our customers are upgraded to overnight shipping. And so it's not unheard of, especially if you're on the East Coast, to order shoes as late as 10 o'clock at night and have them on your doorstep as early as 10 o'clock in the morning. In fact, I ordered a pair of shoes on Saturday afternoon, and they arrived on Monday. I wasn't expecting them till Tuesday, so somehow UPS got to me early. We really try to have exceptional customer service. If you call our website and we don't have the shoes you're looking for, our call center employees are trained on how to help you shop with our competitors. So go to our competitors' websites, scour the internet to try to find the product that you're looking for, and if we find it, we'll direct you to that person's website to purchase it. And for us, it's not about maximizing every interaction with the customer as far as dollars go. It's about maximizing every interaction to build loyalty, to build the service model that we are known for. Our call center has no call times, no quotas, and no sales goals. If you have ever called a call center and felt like you were being rushed off the phone, it's probably because you were. And a lot of call centers, it's typical for the employee to, in order for them to keep their job, depends on how quickly they can get a customer off the phone. And this is one of the other things that we thought was crazy, that who are we to put time on good customer service? Because good service to me might take 5 minutes, and good service to you might take 20 minutes. In fact, our longest call on record was 8 hours and 23 minutes. 8 hours and 23 minutes of consistent talk time. That call center rep was a champ. She did not use the bathroom. She did not eat. She did not leave her desk for 8 hours and 23 minutes. I'm pretty sure we broke several laws in the process, but that's the dedication of our team. And the funny thing about this is if you walk into Zappos and you ask any employee, what's the longest call on record? Almost every employee can tell you because it's something we celebrate. But you'd be hard-pressed to find even one employee who can tell you if that 8-hour and 23-minute phone call even resulted in a sale. So that goes back to our point that our call center is not about sales. Our call center is about customer service. So at Zappos, we consider ourselves about the 3 C's. When customers come to us, hopefully they notice that we have a whole lot of clothing on top of a whole lot of shoes. And when they order from us, they're going to notice that we have really great customer service. And hopefully at some point in the time that we spend with this customer, eventually they're going to call our call center, or they're going to run into a Zappos employee, and they're going to discover that we also have a really amazing culture. And that brings me to what is the #1 priority of Zappos, and it's very, very simple. The #1 priority for us is culture. It guides every decision that we make. And how is culture? Anyone know who this guy is? Just like bonus point. Oh, who is it?
Former mayor of Las Vegas. I live here.
Oh, that doesn't count. But, all right, so yeah, that's the former mayor of Las Vegas. His wife is now our current mayor, so only in Las Vegas does that happen. So how do we make this a priority? Well, we decided that we would change a lot of the things that we do internally to support the culture that we were trying to grow. The first one is that our interviews are 50% based off of culture, 50% based off of your personality and how well we think you fit in to our environment. The HR person's responsibility is solely to say, this person meshes well with our values, this person fits into our environment. It is up to the department manager to decide, does this person have the skills and do they meet the needs of the culture and the sub-department of Zappos. If HR says that this person is not a culture fit, it literally doesn't matter if you are the most talented. One thing that we always struggle to find is software engineers. You could be the most talented software engineer, but if HR says, I don't think that this guy is humble, or I don't think he matches our personalities, then he won't be offered a job. All employees go through 4 weeks of training. The first job of every employee in Las Vegas is as a call center employee. So regardless if you're hired as a CEO, vice president, or the janitor, we all start day one as a call center employee. And for the first 4 weeks of your employment, you're going to spend 2 weeks of that in a classroom, learning how to work our phones, learning how to work our systems, learning about our history and who we are and who we want to be. And then we're going to throw you on the phones for 80 hours, where full 80 hours of just talking to our customers. And then to follow that up, every single year during the holiday season, 100% of our Las Vegas team is required to spend 10 hours on the phone with our customers. We have a pay-to-quit program, so we actually offer our employees money if they want to leave. During training, at the end of the second week, we sit you down and we say, we spent a lot of time trying to figure out if you're right for Zappos. The average candidate, entry level, can spend up to 3 months in our recruiting process just to get a $12 an hour job. So we say, we spent a lot of time trying to figure out if you're right for Zappos, and now we want to know, is Zappos right for you? Because it's not for everybody, and we get that. We're weird, we're strange, we're casual. Some people are not comfortable in our environment, and we're okay, but if it's not for you, we'd like to give you some money to help you hold you over until you find another job. So the first offer that they get is for $2,000, and again, the average employee that we're hiring is starting at $11 in our call center. So $2,000 is a considerable amount of money. If they say no, we sit them down again at the end of 4 weeks and we say, okay, we're here to ask again, how do you like Zappos? And if it's not for you, that's okay. Here's $3,000 to help you hold you over till you find another job. And if they say no again at the end of 6 weeks, and now they've had some time in their real departments, we say we'll offer you $4,000 to leave. If they say no to that, then they're done. They're ours forever, or for as long as they'll have us. Our performance reviews are 100% based on culture, so you don't ever get a performance review at Zappos where your boss sits you down and they say, this is how you're meeting our expectations. And the reason we don't do that, we get a lot of questions on why we don't. We think performance should be talked about every week. We think performance should be talked about as a department every month. And we think it's kind of a silly thing to sit down once a year and that's when your boss says, by the way, you've not been doing such a great job, or by the way, you're doing an amazing job. Like, these are things we should be telling our employees on a consistent basis. But we do talk culture once a year. We sit them down and we rank them on each one of our core values, and we tell them this is where you're at. So they'll get percentages. And it's not about whether you're good or bad. It's more about where your strengths and weaknesses are within each of those values. So what can culture do for a company? In 1999, when we started, we made almost no money. We closed out 2008 with over $1 billion in sales. Some of you may have heard in 2009, we were acquired by Amazon. The value of that was $1.2 billion in shares. So now that we are part of a public company and our money rolls up into theirs, we're not allowed to tell you how much we make every year, but just know that we're growing and we're doing really well. So Tony has a saying that brand is a lagging indicator of culture. And what he means by this is that there was a time in our history where we could take out really big ads and we could say, this is who we are. We are cool, we are sexy, we are fun. Whatever you wanted to sell to the public, you could do through just normal marketing avenues. But we're at a point now where information flows so quickly that it doesn't matter what you try to sell to the consumer, that if the people that support your brand don't match that, you get found out really, really quickly. An example of this is the airline industry. We're pretty certain that no executives in the airline industry sat in a conference room and they said, what do we want our brand to be about? And someone raised their hand and said, let's be about the worst customer service on the planet. And I'm not talking about one specific airline, just airlines in general, that we've all been on that flight. We've all gone through TSA, and I think most people have had an experience, or a majority of their experiences on airlines have not been a result of, have not encountered great customer service. So I'll talk a little bit about how we built our brand and hopefully some of the lessons that we learned and how those apply to you. So the steps that we think are important if you're trying to go down a path of changing your culture. Number one is to decide if it's even important to you. Are you trying to build a long-term sustainable brand? And if you are you willing to commit your time and your finances to creating a culture? And basically, how big of a priority will it be? Step number two is to define your core values. This is something that's actually really hard to do. And how we did it at Zappos is Tony had to first decide to figure out what his own personal core values are. Who am I? And then he looked around the corporation and he said, who are the best performers? Who are the people that I enjoy spending the time with the most, and what do they all have in common? So we started writing down things like they're fun, they're weird, they're humble, and came up with a list of 100 or so different values. And then he sent that out to the employees and he said, what do you think? It's time for us to do something very, very corporate America, and I know it's scary for everyone, but we're going to create core values. What do you think of these? Am I missing something? And it took about a year in order for us to come up with the 10 that we have now. And the biggest thing is, do they align? Because the highest performers are the ones where their values at home are the same as their values at work. So we don't want two faces to every employee. We want them to be the same people in our work environment as they are when they go home from our work environment. So ever wonder if anyone reads the core values? Most companies put them on a pretty little plaque in their lobby. So do people read them? I'm assuming some people do, but do people actually live by them? There was a story I heard once about a company it was a large corporation, and they bought this really big boulder and they engraved their core values on it and set it right in front of their corporate office. So every day when their employees and their customers would come in, they would see these great lofty values like integrity, honesty, pride, and I'm also told that company was named Enron. So there is a bit of conflict if you have values but nobody lives by them. And research shows it doesn't really matter what your values are as long as you commit to them. These are two books that helped develop the Zappos methodology, Tribal Leadership and Good to Great. And these are the 10 values that we came up with. Number 1, deliver wow through service, all the way to number 10, which is be humble. We get the most notoriety, I think, for number 3, which is create fun and a little weirdness. One of our interview questions is actually on a scale of 1 to 10, how weird do you consider yourself? And we ask that, and we're not really looking for a number, we're looking for a reason. So someone could say, oh, I'm a 7 on the weird scale, and then we ask them why, and then we're like, clearly you're more like a 9 or 10. So the key word in that is that we're looking for a little weird, not crazy. Step number 3 is to commit to transparency. Be real and be yourself. Some examples of how Zappos does this is we have twitter.zappos.com. If any of you are on Twitter, you can go to this website and it's going to show you live what everybody on Twitter is saying about Zappos. The good, the bad, the ugly. We just put it all out there for everyone to see. You can also click on what our employees are saying. And sometimes our employees are talking about what's happening in the office, and sometimes they're talking about what they're eating for lunch. And again, we don't manage what our employees say. We trust that they're using their judgment online. We have an Ask Anything newsletter where basically our employees can ask anything they want anonymously. And sometimes they're asking really basic questions like, why aren't there peanut butter M&Ms in the vending machine? And sometimes they're asking really hard questions like, why did you create this policy? This isn't really indicative of who we are. And we take every one of their questions, and the appropriate department head responds to it, and then we send it out in a newsletter for all of our employees to read. Tours and media visits. We do tours 4 days a week at Zappos. If you have time, I highly recommend checking us out. About 1,500 people a month come from all over the world to see what we're doing. It's a strange thing having tours go through your office environment all day long, but we sing for you, we dance for you. It's a lot of fun. Media, when the media comes in, it's very normal in most companies for the media to be pushed to maybe a marketing representative or someone who can present the company exactly how they want to be presented. So you sit in a room and you say, this is who we are, this is what we're about. But at Zappos, we just give the media free access so they can talk to any employee in the company, any one of our 1,500 employees. Because again, if you're only keeping the right employees, you're not really concerned about what those employees are saying. And then we created our culture book. The culture book is something we produce every year, and basically we get an email. It says, what does the Zappos culture mean to you? And we respond within a paragraph of what Zappos means to me or to the other employees. It's completely anonymous if you want it to, or you can have your name associated with it. But the interesting part is when we did this, we decided that we were going to leave it completely unedited except for spelling errors. So when you're reading this book has 1,000 different entries. You're getting the real version of Zappos as our employees see it, because there is the good in there and there's definitely bad in there. No company is perfect. So, and I'll tell you how to get a free copy of this at the end of the presentation. Step number 4 is vision. What is your vision? Does it have meaning and passion behind it? And are you really chasing your vision, or are you just continuously chasing more profits? And one of the things we live by is whatever you're thinking, think bigger. The evolution of the Zappos vision, when we created our company, we wanted to be about selection. Our one goal was to carry the largest inventory of shoes online so that if you were looking for something, we had it. There was only one problem with that, and that goes back to no one really believed we could do this, so nobody would sell us shoes. In the beginning, our founder, he set up his office actually right next door randomly to a shoe store. And when he couldn't get any brands to sign on, he decided that he would make a pact with the shoe store next door. So he'd go over there in the mornings and he'd take pictures of the shoes that were on the guy's shelf, and he'd post it to our website. And then when a customer would place an order, he'd run next door to the shoe store, buy the shoes from him, and send it off to our customer. So it didn't make much money, but we were trying to prove to people that indeed people will buy shoes online. So being that we couldn't be about selection, we had to be about something we could actually control, and that's where the service philosophy came into play. And in the beginning, when we did start signing brands, we did do a lot of drop shipping, but drop shipping, we had no control over service levels. Sometimes packages would make it, sometimes they wouldn't. We'd call our vendor and they'd say, sorry, we're sold out, and it just provided a really bad service experience to our customers. So we made the decision overnight to turn off 40% of our business. 40% of our sales was coming through drop shipment. And when we said we want to be about the best customer service experience, the only logical next step was to get rid of drop shipping. Once we focused on service, we moved over to culture and values as our platform. And then always thinking bigger, we moved on to what we call PEC. And PEC stands for personal, emotional connection. And this is how you are personally, emotionally connecting to your customers outside of the products they buy. So when a rep is talking to a customer, it's important that they try to figure out who these people are as people. And maybe they hear a dog barking in the background and they happen to love dogs, so they have authentic conversations about what kind of dog do you have, or you hear baby and you talk, and you're a parent, so you talk about having kids. But that the conversation is not just about this is what you want and this is the thing you're trying to purchase. And PEC also goes to how we treat our employees. It's about personally, emotionally connecting with your team outside of the job they do for you. So my job as a manager is to make sure that I know everybody on my team on a personal level, that I know stuff about their families and their parents and their siblings. But again, always thinking bigger, we moved over to delivering happiness. And at this point, we think it's pretty broad and that we can live comfortably in that. So if you have employees on your team, we always ask, like, what's the larger vision and greater purpose in their work beyond just money or profits? Because if we're honest with ourselves, most of our employees are not making much money, and most of them definitely don't have any access to our profits. So what keeps your employees working for your organization every single day? And then for entrepreneurs, people always come to us and say, what do you think is the next big thing? Where can I make lots of money? And we always respond with, well, what would you be passionate about doing for 10 years, even if you never made a dime? Because in any organization, there's going to be good times and there's going to be bad times, but the passion is really what gets you through. So the bottom line for us is it comes down to motivation versus inspiration. And we've all worked for people that are really good motivators. Some of our bosses have learned the skill of motivating through fear, which is do this or you'll get fired. And some of our bosses have learned to motivate through incentives. If you do this, I will give you that. And these are all proven to work, but they're proven to work on a very short term. So for us, we want to be about more than motivation. We want to be about inspiration. And inspiration shows up when your employees are they're going about their day-to-day and they're doing work for you without looking at their job description. They're not asking, am I getting paid to do this? Or is this part of my job? This is really Sally's job. They're just inspired to do the best they can for our organization. It also it shows up when you go to a local bar on a Saturday at 10 o'clock at night and you walk up to a random group of Zappos employees and they're not talking about the football game. They're talking about what new product would be the best for Zappos to launch, or what can we do to make our experience better. Step number 5 is to build relationships. We always say it's not about networking or marketing. It's really about connecting with people. Some examples of this, again, is PEC, which is personally, emotionally connecting. And as a manager, it's my responsibility and the expectation of every manager at Zappos that they're spending 10 to 20% of their time outside of the office not doing work with their team. So just yesterday, Tony, our CEO, Fred, Chris, our CFO, me and my team and some other people that are working with us, we left the office at noon and went and saw a movie and had lunch at one of the casinos here. So for about 4 hours on a Monday afternoon, we were not productive at all. But it's important to Zappos that we're doing that because it gives us a chance to connect as people and not just workers in a corporation. Step number 6 is to build your team. We have a saying at Zappos that it tends to scare people, which is hire slowly, fire quickly. In a normal organization, you hire as quickly as you can because you absolutely have to have somebody to do the work. And then when you discover that that hire was bad, that they're not a fit, they're not doing their job correctly, you go to HR and you say, I want to get rid of this employee, and they put you through the ringer. They want write-ups, they want all the I's dotted, all the T's crossed, and it is almost impossible to get rid of an employee. So we took that out of our process. We decided we're going to spend all of that time, instead of managing people out, we're going to spend that time focusing them on the beginning and taking a long time to decide if they're right for us. And if we discover that we made a bad decision, that this person isn't good for our environment, we want to get rid of them as quickly as possible. So if a manager goes to HR and says, I want to get rid of this person, manager's job is to ask those normal questions. Did you dot your I's? Did you cross your T's? Why is their performance reviews all or culture reviews all exceptional? And but if that manager says that no, this is detrimental to my team, then it's up to HR to manage that risk in whatever way they can. But ultimately, managers have full decision on who they keep and who they let go. And for us, the risk of keeping bad employees is much greater than the risk of letting them go. So moving on to the happiness sort of thing is we always ask people to take a moment and think about what your goals in life are. And when we ask people this question, they come up with a number of different responses. They might say, I want to grow a company, or I want to get a great job. And if you ask them why, they're going to come up with another series of answers. I want to retire early. I want to make money. Ask them why again, another set of answers. But if you keep asking people why, eventually they're going to come to a statement that sounds similar to, it'll make me happy, or I want to be happy. But research shows, this is a technical term, that we're super bad at predicting what will bring us sustained happiness. And some examples of this is they did a study on lottery winners, and they found out that lottery winners are not more happy 2 years after winning the lottery than they were before winning the lottery. I always say that I want to try this out for myself, but I can prove that it can make me happy. But in any case, a lot of us think that when I get this, I'll be happy, or when I achieve that, I will be happy. And you can fill in the blank, like when I get this house, then I'll be happy. When I get this promotion, I'll be happy. And there's a number of different frameworks for happiness. This is the one that Zappos actually uses internally on how we focus on our employees. And what we've come up with is that based off of positive psychology and the research of happiness, that humans as a whole need to feel that they have perceived control, and as it relates to employees, that they're in control of their surroundings, their environment. There's perceived progress, that they're always moving forward in their personal and professional goals. Connectedness is about the number and depths of relationships with people around you. And then, of course, vision and meaning, being a part of something bigger than yourself. Maslow's hierarchy, we were all taught in school. It's still very valid as a happiness framework. And then the newest framework is the 3 types of happiness, and this goes based off of what type of happiness they are and how long it lasts. Most of us are very familiar with the first one, which is pleasure happiness, and it's like chasing the next high. We get this generally when we purchase stuff. So you buy a new pair of shoes and you get an extra boost of happiness. You buy a new car, you feel very happy, but it doesn't really last very long, and then you go right back to where you were before. And we call this rock star happiness, and the reason we do is because it's really hard to maintain unless in fact you are in fact a rock star. The next type is passion, and most of us have been lucky enough to experience this, and this is when you are doing something that you love so much that time seems to fly. And some of us experience this in our hobbies like painting, running. There's a number of different ways you can experience this. So some of us are lucky enough to find this in our work. But the third type of happiness, and the one that lasts the longest, it really comes down to higher purpose and meaning, being a part of something bigger than yourself. And most types of people find this in charity, work, religion, things of that nature. So again, the most long-term fulfilling happiness is higher purpose and meaning. When Tony was researching the psychology of happiness and the science behind it, he realized that happiness is pretty parallel to business. So in happiness, you're looking for pleasure, passion, and purpose. And in business, you're looking for profits, passion, and purpose. And that's how he decided to integrate the two. So if research shows that vision and meaning leads to happiness, what's your company's higher purpose? And what's your own higher purpose? I wanted to end on a story that comes from our call center. We had a customer call us one day, and she called and she said, I need to return a pair of shoes. I purchased them for my mother. She passed away before I got a chance to wear them. And if any of you have ever returned items to Zappos, it's pretty easy. You just print a return label, tape it to the box, take it to the UPS store, and off it goes. So the rep said, not a problem, I can help you with that. And he helped her process her return. And then he thought, you know, this woman probably has a lot more to do, bigger things to do than go to UPS to return her shoes. So he took it upon himself to send UPS right to her door. And every time an employee does that, it costs the company about $10 or $15. We don't manage how often they do it. It's part of their WOW toolkit, as we call it. So he said, I'm going to have UPS pick it right up from your door, leave it on your doorstep, and it'll be taken care of. The customer thanked us and hung up the phone. When the employee was done, he went up to a supervisor and he said, I just talked to this woman, and her mom just died, and I really connected with her. I really feel bad for her, and I think Zappos should send her flowers. And the supervisor, I'm sure he thought it was the craziest idea ever. Like, we never send flowers to our customers, but he said, sure, why not? Let's send flowers to this customer. And so we did. And what we didn't know at the time was that this woman, she had a blog. And this blog was read by 3 or 4 of her closest relatives, and that's about it. But she wrote this really amazing blog about how UPS came to her door, and the next day there was a knock, and she opened it, and there was a beautiful arrangement of flowers. And the card read, our thoughts and prayers are with you. Love the Zappos.com family. And she wrote about how she feels like she finally found a company that felt like people, that there was people running this business and not just, it wasn't just a normal business. What we also couldn't have known is that there was a reporter out of New York who was trying to write a story on Zappos, and he was trying to write a story that no one had written before, which is not exactly easy to do since people have written a lot of stories about us. So he must have been on page 372 of a Google search when he came across this woman's blog that had been read by 3 people. And he wrote a story called Zappos Sends You Flowers. And to date, this woman's blog has had over 80,000 hits. So we're all marketing people, right? So we spent probably $75 to send this woman flowers. In return, we got 80,000 positive impressions of our brand. Everyone think that's good ROI? And I guess the point of the story is that you can do a lot of media planning, and you can plan lots of strategies, and sometimes they succeed and sometimes they fail. But if you just focus on people planning, that your people will create these stories for you and give you good ROI on what you're doing. So thank you so much for allowing me to be here. Some information for you. If you are interested in getting that free copy of that culture book I told you about, just go to culturebook.org and you're going to put in your information. They're going to send it to you. It'll arrive within a few weeks. If you need anything from me, I'm Jamie at Delivering Happiness or jamie@zappos.com. Either one will reach me. And I think we have time for questions. Yeah? Any questions? Hi.
How many people take you up on your offer for getting paid to quit?
That's a great question. Less than 3% of our employees take the offer to quit.
Based on what you've done to build your culture, what's the one thing you would change, having done it now for several years?
So I'm going to give you what my CEO always says, that if he could do things over, he would have paid more attention to hires sooner. He estimates millions of dollars have been wasted on bad hires. Another thing, like our culture is great, but there are some downsides. And one of the things that we noticed a few years ago is that our employees were getting kind of spoiled. So they almost expected us to do really great things for them. And so now we kind of set the expectation that we're creating a really great work environment. That doesn't mean we can give you everything for free. Any other questions?
Can you go into a little bit more detail about you guys' I hear you guys do a lot of online video, and can you go into a little bit of detail about how that kind of shows the culture and how that's been working out for you?
Yeah. So I'm not the expert in this area. I can tell you that we do produce a lot of videos, and they all showcase our employees. So it's really important to us that every interaction with our customers, whether it's through our ads, through our commercials, through our videos that you can find online or on our website, really represent who we are as people. So what kind of numbers we're getting from those, I don't know. I could find out for you if you email me and want really specific information. Yeah?
Could you elaborate a little bit more about the WOW toolkit? Has worked and what hasn't worked over the years?
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything that hasn't worked because everything in the WOW toolkit is pretty awesome, but I guess I can say that there's things we've done that maybe back in the day would have been considered if we had a WOW toolkit. One time we thought it would be a really good idea to send socks to every customer that ordered shoes. This was a long time ago. Like, who doesn't need socks to go with their shoes? But the only problem is that the socks would generally arrive like a week before the shoes would because we were waiting on vendors to send them. And then we didn't really think about, what about high heels? You don't wear socks with heels, or you order a pair of flip-flops and you get a free pair of socks. And we've tried bumper stickers and lots of kind of bad ideas, I guess. But in our WOW toolkit now is a number of things from like our culture book to copies of Delivering Happiness. They have the ability to send flowers now. That's a permanent thing that they can do. We also send cookies. But the WOW toolkit is not so much a thing that contains stuff as it is just a way of saying that there's really nothing off limits. So we've had customers call and they're ordering shoes because their house is burned down, and that employee decides that today in their toolkit is a drive to send toys to the children of these families. And so each employee comes up with what they want to do. But we do send hand-written thank you cards to our each rep is required to send, I think, 15 a day out. So those are part of the WOW toolkit as well. Yeah?
What do you think Amazon has picked up?
So the question is, what has Amazon picked up from us, or what have we picked up from them? Honestly, Amazon, when we made the deal with them, we decided that we wrote it out where they would leave us alone, providing that we were performing, that they wouldn't put too much expectations on us elsewhere, because we tried to live in a world with no bureaucracy. And they've done a really good job. So has some of the stuff that we've done trickled over to them? I've heard about warehouses now getting free soda, which is part of what we do at Zappos. From them, we learn a lot, but we can take whatever we want. So we built our our warehouse management system in-house, and then when Amazon came on board, we were looking at buying a different product, and we looked at theirs, and so they gave us their WMS. But yeah, so there's not, I think, clear things. It's a process.
So first, I just want to say thank you. I've seen 3 keynotes in the last 3 years, and yours was very inspirational. So one, thank you very much. 2, I think I'm very happy. You mentioned my company, UPS, multiple times, so I wanted to say thank you for that. Extremely happy.
I only mentioned the amazing things.
Yeah, right.
It's all amazing.
So on the weird factor, I'm just curious. Jeffrey Bezos is a little unique, right? And Tony, do they ever intertwine and mix? And what does that look like?
Okay, so Tony sees Jeff once every 3 months for an hour, and that's in a board meeting. So there's a lot to talk about. There's not a whole lot of personal stuff. Jeff and Tony have actually never been in Las Vegas at the same time. So when Jeff didn't first come see Zappos, the company he purchased for over $1 billion, until a year after the sales closed. But yeah, he came wandering through our office, giggling the whole time. And I say giggling because he was literally giggling. So there's not a whole lot of interaction between those two either.
Okay,
but thank you for being such a great partner. We love UPS.
We have time for one more question.
Oh, I have one up front. Did you have a question?
Yeah. Are there metrics on the wow factor that you guys look at internally?
Yeah, so are you guys familiar with like NPS ratings, Net Promoter Scores? And there's a book called The Ultimate Question. And the ultimate question, according to this book, is on a scale of 0 to 10, I believe. How likely are you to recommend Zappos to your friends and family? And then through their own kind of equation, you come up with who your promoters are of your organization. So we do ask that question. We also ask a certain percentage of the incoming calls. We'll get a survey afterwards, and one of the questions that I really love is, based off of your interaction with the rep you spoke to, a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are you to recruit them to work at your own company? So that, to us, is like, if you want to steal our employees, then we're doing it right. Did you have follow-up?
Yeah, but internally on your measurement of an employee who wants to really be recruited.
I'm sorry?
Internally on employees that overuse.
Do employees overuse their WOW toolkit?
Yeah.
You know, honestly, we found that employees actually underutilize the toolkit, especially in terms of free product or gift cards, because we literally do not put a limit on what gift cards they can give away. So I can go into our system and issue a $5,000 gift card right now, or a $5 gift card. And so we've told a lot of times employees, like, you have to find a balance on what you're offering. If a customer purchased, $800 worth of shoes, and then you're like, we're really sorry that we messed up on this, here's a $20 gift card, that doesn't make sense. So I'm sure there's plenty of times an employee did too much, and we just counseled those employees. We don't want to impact the masses because one employee did something stupid. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you for attending the 2012 Keynote Presentation.